Yeah. Well, a couple of things. I'd say one thing, which I've always believed, and I think that was a little bit ingrained in me from the training floor at Merrill, yeah, and the experience of having sort of seen, this effort that made a lot of money that then ultimately blew up. And I really do think this is to really maintain humility through the whole thing. I think uh, investing is very, very difficult. We're sort of trying to predict the unknown. It is really difficult to bifurcate, luck and timing from, skill. I think skill can create opportunities for better luck, but I'd say one is to always be humble, always try to learn, always have a skepticism, never sort of feel too confident in yourself. I think for me, that's something that I guess just got pounded into me in terms of what happened in my own life, my own career. So that, and I think and I keep trying to do that, because there's times where you feel like I've nailed this, I'm a terrific investor, I know exactly what I'm doing, and that can be very dangerous. And life ultimately kind of shows you that that's not the case. Generally, it's a path like this, and what you hope is that it's kind of the trend line is going up and to the right. So I'd say humility and just kind of knowing that we're working in ambiguity and uncertainty, and therefore never being too sure of yourself, I think is one element that I just remind people to do. I think in investing, and I think this is true in trading and private equity and hedge funds, the best way to learn is really is the apprenticeship model. It's not sort of picking up a book. It's really working with somebody and looking at businesses and understanding how they look at that. And I'd say one of the best things for me of having moved around is that I've had a chance to work with a lot of really good investors, and they're all good in different ways. They've got different spikes, different things they tend to focus on. In the private equity world, you can be really successful because you're just really, really good at understanding business model characteristics and so on. Other people that I've worked with are really good. They can do that, but that's not their spike. Their spike is more, they've got this charm and charisma and the ability to pull people along, and no matter what they get, they can kind of just paint this vision and get people there. Other people are just terrific networkers. They just have a way of like having stuff. And I've had a chance to work with all of that. And you won't, there'll be sort of the natural abilities you have, but you'll start to pick up on, that's what makes this person great. That's what makes that person great. And how do I make myself as close as possible to that person in that dimension? If you only work with one characteristic, it's kind of hard to know what the other things are. So I'd say trying to work with multiple people that are good at what they do, but it will almost naturally be good in different ways is really important. And then I'd say sort of more tactically, and this is something that I don't do as good a job on, but I try to do it. I actually try to do even now in my career, is to think about, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day, to really hold yourself to a process, right? So that, I think when you start, and depending on your personality, my personality is like this a little bit, you don't want to have like the box, right? You sort of want to feel like you give everything a fair shake, which I think has merits, and you don't want to sort of get constrained in that way. But having a method to the madness, checklists, process things that you always do, questions you always ask yourself, writing down your decision making so you can come back to it. Just how it really helps a lot. It's not to say that that's going to sort of be a black box that you put something into and something comes out on the other side, but at least having some rubrics that you use, especially, I wish I'd done this more early in my career, but especially early in one's career. So like you're going in and you're doing a first call with the company. What are the things you want to walk out making sure you've asked, to just make sure you don't get pulled into the particular company or the particular story. And the last thing I'd say, there's I've obviously got lots of views on this, but the last thing I would say is and this is more private equity based, but there are a lot of ways to get to a good outcome. And you kind of learn this over time. And I think when we start, most of us are kind of control freaks by nature, and we want to kind of go the way we think makes sense. And so another thing you need to learn is in private equity, you can identify a good business, but whether that thing succeeds or not is also dependent on the management team and your partners, and learning how to sort of trust people and trust that there may be a better way to do something, or just a different way, or maybe a little bit less better way than you think, but it still gets you to the place you want to be, I think is really, really important. And I'd say, even if you're not just in private equity, but kind of being open-minded to others' approaches, even if it's like suboptimal you think it's suboptimal. You may be surprised at the end.